Alright guys, I wanted to do a quick video on some renderings that I have had saved for around 4 months. I just never got around to doing a video on it. Now, unfortunately, these renderings are from 2002, but they do give us at least some perspective. This was like the Purdue study from '02, if you guys know what that is in relation to September 11th. So 22 years ago at this point, it is a visualization of the September 11th attack on the World Trade Center, really going in depth on the immediate plane impact, how it affected the core, and just the building in general. And I also wanted to share this photo. I was given this photo. Supposedly, this is at around 4 a.m. on September 11th. I don't really know if it's confirmed or not. It seems like people always just say any photo in relation to the Twin Towers is from like the morning or the night of September 10th, or so really, if this actually was like 4:30 in the morning on September 11th, it's a pretty crazy photo. I know there was one photo from the Marriott Hotel that I believe is confirmed now. That was from like 11:30, and you could see it had stopped raining. I don't know if in the photo the ground was wet or not, but it did stop raining that night, and it was like of the plaza from one of the hotel rooms, and you could see like one of the towers. You could see inside one of the lobbies, and it was like 11:30 at night on September 10th. So there was also that photo. But let's get to the actual images. I'm just going to go through them. You can see this first image, kind of an in-depth plane impact of one of the towers. You can see there is no immediate fire that comes, after the impact, but that's just an impact right there. And then we've got 6 different photos here. You can see in figure 1, simulation into lower Manhattan. Figure 2, impact visualization from the outside of the building. Right image highlights the core columns damaged. Yeah, they really focused on the core columns look at the bottom left. That's really what I want to see. That's a crazy image of the body of the plane entering, and supposedly the body was well intact. You want to know why the body would at least be intact. Now, obviously, the front of the plane, I think, would be completely destroyed because it impacts the actual side of the building. But as it enters, you do have that open floor plan, so it's not hitting anything hard except like the floors, because it would be passing through a floor. You would think it wouldn't go like right in between the floors just because the ceiling's not high enough to support an entire plane. But you can see, if you look at the bottom left and look at the middle, the sag of the floor just getting completely pulled down. And then you can also see the other photo on the bottom right looking directly through. I think I have a bigger image of that. That is a crazy photo, if that's even close to accurate. You can see directly through the building. Like, imagine if people had that perspective to where, there's been several people, I've done videos on people that survived in the impact zone, because it's not like the plane's going to destroy the entire thing. There's a lot of areas in the impact zone that did not get damaged at all, because the plane's not even close to big enough to actually destroy whole floors. It can technically impact whole floors based on the smoke and the jet fuel and the fire, but immediately there were areas, and imagine somebody just looking one way to another, the entire, like there's a hole throughout the entire building. That is just crazy for a massive skyscraper. And then here are more images. You've got figure 5, a visualization of the 2 floors most affected by impact chronologically from left to right. So that first one in the top left, you can see the plane entering the building, pretty crazy. They've skeletoned the entire building, which I don't like because it's unrealistic. I wish they had the furniture in there, but this is from 2002, so it's understandable. And then you can see the plane hitting it, and I think those are the center core columns, like right in front, to show you exactly how it affected them, and then the hole as well into the building. You can see figure 6 in the bottom left, dust and glass debris generated automatically from eroding elements. Probably like, I'm wondering if that's like under where the plane hit, and that's like the falling debris coming down. Fire visualization generated automatically in the bottom image there on the right as well. Just kind of an explosion in the building. Not really much you can see from that. So yeah, here's the zoomed in photo. You can see directly through the building, and it does seem like, I don't know how much you could like map out of this in terms of maybe creating a reenactment where you have both of the Twin Towers, you have a plane entering the side of the Twin Towers at the exact angle, going the exact speed, what would be the exact impact. Obviously, they can't recreate a perfect thing because you just don't know exactly what happened on the interior of the building. I mean, you could do this 500 times and you get 500 different results, but in general, would there be like floors that would technically still be, like, I mean, there's a floor right in the center that seems like it's still there. I don't know exactly if the entire interior was ripped apart to where it was like a massive hole, like a giant pit of debris in the center that was sagging the floors down, or if it was just a complete mess to where there really wasn't a big hole that some of us kind of visualize. And then you can see the other side of the building that, I mean, there's areas that are wide open, gaping open from plane parts that ejected through them. The body of the plane stayed in the tower. Like the totality of all of the seats and things like that, except for maybe there was one seat or like a skeleton of a seat that got blown out. But like 99% of the plane was in the building. The landing gear came out. There were a few plane tires that came out. But the plane itself would have just all been debris. People say that the plane would have just like disintegrated on the interior. I don't think that's the case at all based on what we saw in terms of like other things being still perfectly fine that flew out of the building. I do think if you were within one of the impact zones and you saw the pit or like all of the debris with the plane, you'd probably see plane parts and like heavy plane debris and possibly some windows from the plane as well. I mean, obviously it'd be completely destroyed, but it is interesting to think about. That just looks like an impact. Maybe that is like, I don't know if they just removed the plane and showed the impact, or that maybe that's like a floor below or above where the impact zone was and it's showing the down blast effect or something like that. But you can just see that kind of how it's just warping the entire side of the building, the wall of the building. And then there's another interior one. You can see some type of debris, some carnage there on the left as well. That's even a closer shot looking directly through the hole. And then also on the other side, it's completely open. There were several walls that got destroyed even there. And then you do have just more interior photos, the body of the plane just sitting on the interior right up against the core. It was reported by people inside the Twin Towers that the cores, especially the South Tower, I remember, they said the core was like damaged really badly apparently. I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that, what they were able to see, but there were eyewitness reports, people that made it out of the Twin Towers, especially the South Tower, that said the core was completely just gone or totaled, and obviously it was hit. If it missed the core, the building would have a very good chance of staying up. The only thing that would really be able to take it down would be fire that spreads rapidly, but if the core was together, it'd be perfectly fine, I'm guessing. And then there you can see, this is another simulation, and then there you can see, so they did this crash simulation basically a year after 9/11. You can see September 10th, 2002, and that would be the plane entering the building and how the plane actually reacted possibly to entering the building. You can see it's still, I mean, relatively together there in that image. I don't know how realistic that is. I mean, this is from 2002, but it is interesting nonetheless. So those are just some different renderings I wanted to go over. Maybe I'll find some other stuff on it, some newer things. I'm sure people really don't want to create renderings on it at this point because it is kind of a niche thing. It was obviously a horrible event, but it is interesting to see how the plane, when it enters the building, how much of it is still together, how badly was the interior damaged, and then like 99% of the plane still being on the interior. How, because apparently a lot of the fires immediately dissipated. There was the giant, and we saw it when the planes hit the buildings, there was the giant fireball that kind of came out the side of the buildings where the hole was, and then due to lack of oxygen, the fires basically stopped and they started up from the jet fuel mainly. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.